everybody. So for anybody who doesn't know, I know everyone in the room knows who I am, but for those of you out in TV land, I'm Marge Etman. I am the director of the Burlington Council on Aging. So we are here for our annual Candidates Afternoon, which is less of a date and more of a friendly discussion. I hope. We've had years when they weren't, but. So our normal way of doing things is we're going to have the audience fill out cards with questions that they have. And once we've gone through all the cards that we have, the written questions, we will let people ask questions live.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Alan Foulds. As you just heard, I'm the moderator over in Reading. I've got a lot of connections here. I've done some of your election coverage in the past and some of your debates at BCAT. We have asked that questions be written beforehand. There are papers out on the tables right now. We'll collect them before we get going. There's only one contest on the town-wide ballot. That's for school committee. There are 4 candidates for 2 positions. We have 2 of the candidates with us today, Catherine Bond and Hillary Kleck. Before we get there, though, I would ask that any of the non-contested races, if they'd like to talk for a few minutes, this is their chance. I know Jim is going to start us off. Jim.
Thank you, Alan. Thanks for having us back. Unfortunately, the weather's nice, so the crowds are probably a little low because of the weather. I knew if, I had a choice of being here and playing or going outside, I'd probably want to be outside because we've been locked up for 3 months. Speaking of the weather, a couple of things are going on around town. The snow budget, through the roof, as you can imagine. That's the one budget we can overspend that's not regulated. We flatline it at $350,000, and we always go over that, but we always budget it at a lower end. But we're allowed to exceed that without having to go through any process. A couple other things going on around town. If you haven't met her, we now have Laura. I cannot still pronounce her last name, our communications officer. It's like if you build it, they will come type of thing where, what is she going to do? What is she going to do? Well, she's getting overwhelmed because everybody's reaching out to her. I know as a subcommittee to the fire department, we're going to do some sort of social media campaign about fire hydrants next year because unfortunately, the fire department had an apartment fire in February, and some of the hydrants were buried, and they couldn't find them. So we're going to try to do something next year to combat that. Good news, last night we found out we got a $1 million grant through Economic Development Office, Melissa Tentaculis. It's for pedestrian safety along Middlesex Turnpike and the Wall Road area. So that's brand new. This could be the year, this should be the year, and this will be the year that the water is connected to B. There was 2A and 2B. 2B is supposed to be connected this year, which will give us full access to MWRA if we ever need full access. Right now, we have a hybrid system, MWRA and Mill Pond. And the other hot topic or current event that I'm familiar with, or town side, is the police station. Good news. We budgeted $46 million. We estimated $46 million. We used $5 million in free cash to offset that, $41 million. And the construction bids came in about $5 million under. So now the police station will cost the taxpayers $10 million less than anticipated. So that tax that we put out there, the average household would get $150 if the police station was at full $46 million. Well, it won't be as bad as originally thought. So good news there. It's all I can think of right now that's going on around town. Any questions, I'll answer them when we do that.
Okay, and we can do it right now. Any questions for Jim right now? All right, hang out just in case we have some later. All right, now we will move on to opening statements by each of our 2 candidates. Whoever goes first will get to go first on the end, too, so the same person won't be beginning and ending. So we'll start with Catherine. You're closer.
I'm closer. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having us. Marge, thanks for the invitation, and Alan, thanks for moderating. I know we're all taking time out of our work days for some of those who are working and those who are retired. I can't wait to get there someday. But anyway, for those of you who may not know me, I'm Catherine Bond, and I've had the privilege of being on the school committee for almost 6 years now, and it has been my honor to represent the community. Education has always been important to my family. My mother, my grandmother, and my great aunt were all teachers. And I grew up understanding how a strong school strengthens a community. During the past term, we've implemented a new reading program, we've strengthened our math curriculum, and we hired a new assistant superintendent to help us improve on our curriculum. We are continuing to work hard on a solution for the high school, and we need to find a solution that the whole town can support. Professionally, I'm a senior manager of manufacturing and engineering. That's a new title for me. I just got a promotion, so sometimes I have to think about what that is because it's a change. And I'm in the defense industry. And I will bring that focus of problem solving and accountability to the school committee. I'm excited for the opportunity to continue to work with every student. I would really truly appreciate one of your 2 votes on April 11th, and I want to thank you all.
Well, thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hillary Flett, and I'm running also for Burlington School Committee. I'm the parent of a 4th grader at Fox Hill. We've lived in Burlington for about 12 years now. What brought us here in Massachusetts, actually, I was raised in the South. My daughter, who is 21 now, and she goes to Perkins School for the Blind. She lives with us and commutes back and forth right now, so she can go there until she's 22. And she's really what brought us to Massachusetts, and the schools and the education system in Massachusetts and the health system. So that's why we moved here. So as you know, moving across the country for education and health, as Catherine said as well, you know, I come from a long line of education is the foundation for life, and to be a lifelong learner. So that's kind of in a nutshell, quick background. You know, I'm running because I think that Burlington is fantastic. We were here in an apartment for a long time, and then we're able to buy a house not far from Fox Hill Elementary, so that has been wonderful. But Burlington has been really good to us, and we want to stay here and be more integral part of the community. And so I've been active on the PTO at Fox Hill, some community events. My son does 4th grade basketball. So it's just been a great experience that we want to continue, and I want to get into more of all of the education and everything that Burlington's built so far. I'm sure many of you, Catherine, everyone on the school committee, like that's what I said. There are things we can do better, I believe, and I want to help that. But we're thankful for where we are and the great schools that we have. Professionally, my background way back in college was electrical engineering, so good to hear more engineers. Right now, I'm a data consultant, so you'll hear in my campaigning a lot of data-based questions, where's the information coming from, a lot of transparency, and getting to that accountability for what our planning and what we want to do. So I'm sure there'll be more questions about that. So I've currently been also with the elementary schools and the special education system. Been doing that for 21 years now. So I've had a lot of experience in those. And I just want to bring my experience and my passion and my love for not just my kids, but for all the kids in our future.
Thank you very much. Now, before we get to the questions, Jennifer, would you like to speak?
Hi, everyone. Thank you. My name is Jennifer Priest. I am your current town clerk. I am running for re-election And I'm honored to have that ability to do that again this year. And I'm now running again for a 5-year term. In the short 9-ish months, 10 months, hit the ground running. The staff have been very helpful in the clerk's office, and we kind of hit the ground running with that special election in the fall. We've had a few things change at the state level. We had a VRIS roll out this January, and it ended up not going so great. It's the voter registration system, so we've been working with the state and the censuses and keeping all that information up to date. We also had a new system for death records that we rolled out in June when I first started, so it's been a huge learning curve and process for all of us, and we appreciate all the feedback we get when there's, concerns or questions. And the big thing we're working right now is getting that census in so that we have the correct numbers to provide Marge the numbers she needs so she can calculate what the COA needs. The schools use those numbers to calculate what's coming in, along with even down to, like, I was at the conference in February and the staff was reaching out to me asking for the numbers so that the water department could figure out what they needed for resources to provide the town water. So if you have any neighbors or family that haven't filled out their census, then a little plug here, please fill it out and send it back to us. And thank you for your time. I'll be here for questions if you have any.
Do we have any questions immediate? Do we have any questions for Jennifer right now? Yes. Oh, no? Oh, okay. All right, we will move on to questions for the school committee candidates. All right, well, we can be somewhat informal, but I think we'll alternate back and forth for first answer. First question is, how has your experience as a parent given you the experience you need to be an effective school committee member?
I moved to Burlington about 30 years ago, and my daughter was born in Burlington, raised in Burlington, went K through 12. So I've experienced our schools at every level, elementary, middle school, and high school. I sat on the high school council, which was a parent advisory board where we were asked to come and express our opinions on how to improve things. So it was a privilege to be asked to serve on that while I was a parent. I also, you were talking about some of the things that you're involved in now. I coached Pop Warner cheer for a long time, 6 years as head coach for part of that. So that felt like a full-time job. And on top of that, while I was doing that, I also was treasurer of the Winchester Figure Skating Club and continued to do that well after my daughter had graduated. I was on the board for BHSA, which is the Burlington Hockey and Skating Association, and also trying to think of some of the other things I've done. Oh, and I have also was on the board of directors for the Burlington Swim and Tennis Club. So I've always involved myself in things, of course, like most of us, where your children are involved, but I also felt like I've, supported them. Through that experience, I have done a lot of things, behind the scenes. We had an issue and a concern where parents wanted new uniforms for some cheerleaders, and I was able to show what was going on. I didn't make it a huge public deal, but, sometimes it's who you know and how you do it. So I was able to fix the situation for the junior varsity team to get new uniforms. When we had changed our schedule for the high school to a different timing for the buses and et cetera, that affected the rink, the ice rink. And so I had to go in and negotiate with our current head of the athletics. And we had to figure out a compromise for figure skaters and hockey skaters so that they could do their after-school programs. So I worked on things like that. So that is I feel as a parent and as a community member, that's kind of some of the things that I have contributed as a parent. As far as the school committee, again, I had mentioned it's been an honor and a privilege to have been able to serve for the past 6 years. We've survived COVID. That was my first year. So I feel like I'm tested in a way. I was so happy to be reelected last time around because I really wanted to be able to experience being on the school committee in something that was more normal. And so I felt like I got that experience. And I know that, we have all kinds of lessons that we have learned over the past several years. And there's always room for improvement, not only in what we're doing, but with communication with the community, with parents, and I feel that I really like to have the opportunity to continue this work.
Hello, you all set with the question?
Yes. Yeah, so I spoke a little bit more or already about this in my intro. Again, just real quick, I am the parent of a 4th grader at Fox Hill, and then my daughter, who is 21, goes to Perkins School for the Blind, so we deal with the special education system, through Burlington, through the district, to get her needs at Perkins as well, which has been a great experience and a very informative one. So I look at that. I have experience from both sides of my son being in general education, I'll put that in quotes, in the public school system, as well as working with the school and the district for Perkins School for the Blind. There's a lot that I would love to progress. There's a lot that's already going great. And I think a big part of it is working together. I know right now there's a lot of it just in the world. You versus us, them, I think the only way we can make progress is to work together. I've been involved a lot with the Fox Hill PTO. I do the book fair every year. My mom, we moved around a lot when I was little, so the first place she would always take me is the library, and my sisters to learn about the town and to access books. So I'm very involved with the book fair. I help with the ice cream social. Any chance I can get into the classroom to volunteer and stuff, I love to do. With special education, I'm involved at the CPAC at Perkins School for the Blind, which I was telling somebody last night. You think sometimes with a private school or a very individualized school, communication would be great, but we deal with the same issues that we're trying to work with the CPAC as a leadership in the CPAC to help parents and teachers and staff and students all get on the same page of what's happening and how we can make things better for everybody. So there's definitely, I think a lot of it, everything starts with communication, and we've been talking a lot about not just the volume, but also the quality and how easy it is to understand. Parents, everybody, but definitely parents are busy. I know I'm running back and forth between basketball practices and games, and just trying to keep the schedule right on my phone is beyond comprehension sometimes. So I think there's a lot of just everyday parenting experiences. I could go into detail, especially with special education. But those are kind of the things that I've been involved with so far here.
Thank you. All right, do we have further questions? Yes, over here.
So good afternoon, all. I greatly appreciate this opportunity. I want to very quickly just say thank you to the people that are here and those that are not able to be here that hold public office. I know it's not easy. My father was elected official in school committees for a lot of years, so I saw it from that side. And I'm a town meeting member, Precinct 3. My name is Bob Young, and I'm here because I care about the town of Burlington and its citizens. So I'd like to ask this question directly to Ms. Bond, and like to compare and contrast with your reaction to this question. I think many people are aware of this statement. It's not what people say, it's what they do. Now, at a recent school committee meeting, the last item agenda was an executive session. At that point in the meeting, the chairman told the citizens in attendance that no other public business would be conducted after the executive session. Based on that declaration, All the citizens left. But that isn't what happened. The school committee came back in after session and passed a motion to give Dr. Conti a third year on his current contract. So my question to Ms. Bond first is, why was the people of Burlington misled in this situation? And the follow-up to that is, do you regret your actions that evening?
Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, Bob, and thank you for coming. I actually, in that particular meeting, I ended up being, as vice chair, I ended up having to chair that meeting, so I did not write the agenda, not an excuse, but in general, though, when we go into executive session and we vote on that particular item, there's not an expected, like, we don't know the outcome. And in this particular case, actually, I didn't say that we were coming back for the sole purpose of closing the meeting. I said we were coming back to session. I didn't use those words. There was someone who had filed with the state. We did get a response from attorneys, and the state did not find that we had done anything incorrectly. So again, I appreciate your concern, and I agree it would have been better had we been able, if the people who had wanted to listen in afterwards and come back and express their opinions, that they could have done it that night. But we did have an outcome with the committee in executive session that we went ahead and, evaluated Dr. Conti and, extended his contract and gave a raise. It was by the majority. And the opportunity for our community to come and talk about it, they could have come to the next meeting, which many of them did, and they can express whatever they were going to express that particular evening. And again, I apologize that there was, some misunderstanding or people didn't hear what I had said correctly or had said that evening, but I did not say we were coming back for the sole purpose of closing the meeting.
And do we, Ms. Clark, you don't have to,
Okay,
right?
yeah, no.
Okay.
Yes, nice to meet you all. Yeah, I was not at that meeting, and I obviously don't know what was decided before previously during the meeting. But I think that's a good example of just communication. It's a lot of people, even just a campaign, and a lot of people have asked me, what does school committee do? And that's a good question. And so I think there's a way for not just school committee, but all the departments in Burlington, I'm sure, to be a little more proactive in that communication and be clear. My quick note was, what were the previous meetings regarding that decision, and I'm wondering how long had that discussion been happening where people could have questions and things then. But yeah, so I look on the town website at the way we have the minutes and the agenda, and the calendar is fantastic. I've relied on that so much, especially in the last few months. But I think there's definitely a way to increase and enhance the way we're communicating and how that information goes on, especially for the agendas and items of meetings. That would be something, especially with school committee, I'd like to further progress.
Thank you. All right, the second question, we will begin with Ms. Clark. How has your experience formed your understanding of how the school system strengthens the wider community?
So I think there's, in my just personal experience, and especially involved with fundraising, support that the students need, I helped collect donations and things for the Fall Festival and Ice Cream Social in the past couple of years. I held out this year, but some other parents are doing great, as always. But it's fantastic to see how many businesses, local businesses, and people groups support our students. And I think that is one of the most important things, because the schools, I mean, families and parents have a very specific, what's the word? Sorry. Connection, that's not the word I'm looking for, but investment in the schools because of their kids. But I know I've spoken with many grandparents of kids in the schools, and how much the schools and help us show the rest of the state, the rest of the country, whoever, what we're doing in Burlington and why we care. And there's a lot of great partnerships. I've learned a lot with how the high school is working with not just local businesses, but around the state. I think because it's only going to progress when they get into college or the workforce or whatever path they take. You know, my daughter, we're looking at other programs for her when she's past 22. So all of those, seeing how the unified bowling and unified sports, those are all ways that the community comes together. So I've worked from day one. My daughter was born blind, so we've been doing this from before she was even born, actually. So accessibility and inclusion is something you'll hear a lot from me. It's not just use the buzzwords, but true inclusion means you're not just invited, but everybody belongs. And I think the community, not just the schools, is what makes that happen. And that's what makes this community great, and I'm here to get involved in that as much as I can.
Thank you.
Could you repeat the question?
Sure, yeah, I thought you might. How has your experience formed your understanding of how the school system strengthens the wider community?
Okay. That's what I thought I heard. I just wanted to hear it again. First of all, like you, I moved a lot growing up. And I know that when people are looking at communities to move to, one of the first things they look at is schools. And especially if you have kids, or like when my husband and I were looking, didn't have kids yet, but it's something that you're thinking about in the future. So that's one thing that I feel like is very important, and we need to make sure that we continue to offer the best we can to our students. As you mentioned, inclusivity is very important. We need to make sure that we have all the programs that we need to support all of our students. I look at like our high school, for example. It's a gathering place. We have town meeting there. We have plays there. All of those sporting events, all of that brings the community to our schools. And so we need to have schools that represent our community well. And so that's why I'm so passionate about the high school project. Marshall Simons Middle School is another place. I was one of the people on the school committee who wanted to bring back the talent show. I think the kids have a lot of fun with those talent shows, and once again, that brings people to our schools within the community to look at it. Also, we are continuously talking about all the different kinds of awards at our school committee meetings that our kids are winning nationwide. They're competing, they're going to Washington, D.C., in the state. We've had all kinds of awards that have been presented to some of our students from projects they've worked on. And we also have worked very closely with businesses and have internships for our students where they come in and learn from our local businesses and even businesses outside of the Burlington area. So not only is it important that we're involving our community, but we're involving businesses. And this is great connections for our students when they graduate or and go into whatever field they decide to go into, whether they're going to college, into the military, whatever experience that they gain at our schools, whether it's from a national perspective or a local perspective, it looks good for us and it's good for our kids. And that's really what you want. You want our students to get the best opportunities they can to pursue what they want to pursue.
Thank you very much. Do we have further questions? Yes. Would you like to read it?
Yes.
Sure. You want to use both mics, one's for the TV and one's for, you can leave it on the table if you want.
I can be double-handed. Hi, I'm Myrna Saltman. I'm a town meeting member from Precinct 2, and my question is for all of you. Okay, so I don't want to ignore anybody. In May 2025 at town meeting, the high school field was used for some MIAA playoff game, Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association. And trying to get into the parking lot of a town meeting, it was very challenging. There was wall-to-wall cars, that's the best way to put it. And then we just had our special election last November for the high school. And again, there was an MAA playoff game at the high school. And it was another zoo to try and for people to get in to vote. And they did, God bless them. But again, I'll consider it maybe a communications problem. I don't know the right way to call it. My question to all of you, because it affects the town clerk, the police were there, and the school committee, how can we resolve that so that it's not a problem in the future? And there are monies that the school department gets for letting, our teams were not in those playoffs. But I believe, and I spoke with Sean Hart, the athletic director, I wasn't ignoring him. But there are monies that I believe the school department, or goes into the general fund, accrues for renting out those fields. So how can we avoid this kind of conflict in the future? That's my question.
Sure.
Oh. Thank you.
Okay, Jim, we'll start with you.
Okay. Thanks for the question, Myrna. I can't speak to the school side of it, but what I can speak about is this. I mentioned Laura, whose last name I still cannot pronounce, communications director. One of the goals is to have her come up with a master calendar so that people in town can just take a look and see what's going on in town that day. Right now, we have it as far as when public meetings are, but one of the goals of having Laura, one of the things we wanted to do is to come up with some sort of master calendar. So all you have to do is look at this one calendar, there'll be links and whatnot, and you can see what's happening. And that'll involve communication between the departments, between MIAA, the schools, the town. So that was one of the reasons why we hired her, because people weren't getting the information, and the information was not getting out there. So we have a communication officer now, and soon we're going to have that electronic messaging board on the common. That won't fix any conflicts, but it's just getting the word out. That's why I think Nick, it was Jen's husband's idea for a communications officer, and I think things are going to be so much better now that we have someone that can reach everybody through communication.
Thank you. Jennifer, would you like to go?
I think you gave two examples there, Myrna. There was a third example that came up in the fall where the rec was hosting the turkey trot, and it overlapped with the high school robotics fundraiser. I have directed everyone who's had a concern to express their concerns to the appropriate boards. I can go talk to them, and I have talked with people. But if it's just me, I'm one person. If other people are going forward and saying, hey, this is a problem, I think having a moment and having that master calendar will give people the opportunity to look at it and schedule appropriately. For the robotics group, they couldn't get their vendors up in that upper lot to load it in for their raffle event that they're running. At the election in November, I reached out to the officer who was in charge and asked him, hey, do we need to open up one of the side gates and maybe divert some traffic out a different way? They didn't think that was going to be the best solution, but I talked with them, told them, like, if there's an issue, let me know so we can maybe get the message out there to people that, the games are ending at these times, avoid these times coming up to the polls. Not that what I want to tell people, I'd rather them have free fluid motion for the polls. And for the town meeting, unfortunately, we didn't get a ton of notice on that, and I've been kind of pushing to get more notice so that people can plan accordingly, because if it means coming 15 minutes earlier but not getting stuck on that driveway, I'm sure a lot of people would rather do that. So I think working on the communication piece is big. I've talked with Laura myself on a regular basis, and I've reached out to some of the school committee members about some of the conflicts that we've bumped into, and even some of their staff prior, so that we can try to communicate but also avoid these collisions and events, because as it's been brought up, some of the school properties are high traffic areas. They're part of our community and we utilize them for that, so.
Thank you. Come back to Catherine.
was going to say, I don't know if I have a lot to add to that, because again, I think we've all discussed, the two of them brought up, better communication, having the master calendar. I feel like in my head, I was thinking at work when we have our Zoom meetings and team meetings, that sometimes you just can't schedule things at a different time. So I'll be booked for 2 or 3 meetings at a time, and then we talk to people within our group, and we divide and conquer. Unfortunately, when we have these kind of events, it's hard to divide and conquer, because you can't say, go do it somewhere else. It may not work as far as the timing. So sometimes we are going to have overlaps, and I agree with you, it makes it very difficult, and we don't want to make it hard for people in our town to get to important events like the town election. Some of that, as far as the debt exclusion vote, it was the timing of when we had to do it, and that was the only weekend we felt was going to work, and it was just unfortunate that that event was taking place at the same time. I do agree we need to do better in making sure that we're scheduling things so that it's easier for people to coordinate and be able to park, be able to walk without having to walk a 1.5 miles to get where they need to go. And I appreciate you bringing that up, because I agree with you, we need to do better.
All right.
I don't know how much more I can add, but I will say, as soon as I heard master calendar and someone actually in charge of communication is very promising, and I love that there's a lot going on in Burlington. Like I said, I live down from Fox Hill, so when that construction project starts, I'll probably have my own personal complaints, but we want the school, so we're not going to worry about that. But yeah, I think there's talking with some of the town meeting members and some others in different positions in the Burlington town government. It just seems like we could do a lot better in communication between departments. Not just for scheduling, but for budgeting and planning and looking longer term. So I think if the communications person is kind of key to that, maybe, and this master calendar, maybe that will help push a little bit more to where we can get a little more proactive instead of reactive.
Thank you. We have another written question, and we'll begin with Hillary on this. Would you please comment on the new English language, arts, and math curricula?
Okay, so as a 4th grade parent, I recently received all of the information on the ELA and math curriculum. At one of the events at Fox Hill recently, I was able to go in and look at all of the grades, some of the books and the programs there that the teachers and the specialists had out, which was great to be able to see those. And there's so much though that I can honestly say, as a parent, I'm overwhelmed with all of the resources and information that has been sent. I love that it's sent, but I also have to find the time as a parent and worker. Say I don't work full time, but there's a lot to it. There are many, many guides, hundreds of pages of PDFs, and lots of information. I just want a way to understand how it affects my child specifically, and as a school committee member, how it affects everyone, and the educators. I know there has been a lot of planning and educating the educators in how to teach with the new programs. So I can, it sounds a little, it's not my intent to kind of put it off to the side, but that's just where I'm at with it. I think the communication there and what it's really doing as a parent needs to be a little bit more specific in a way we can all kind of digest, because we're not all masters in education. So that's kind of my take.
Thank you. Catherine, you need the question?
Yeah, just
Sure.
repeat, I don't want to miss anything.
I'll
Thank you.
just grab it for a second.
Oh, jeez.
Would you please comment on the new English language, arts, and math curricula?
There we go, yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure. So, change is hard. And again, we decided to roll out this new curriculum because we needed to improve our ELA and reading program. Our teachers have been working really hard to learn the new program, and it's not easy for them either. They put in a lot of extra time. There was a lot of time put into making the change to this program. I hear you as a parent. I know how difficult it was when they rolled out new math. And, it wasn't necessarily communicated even back when my daughter was in elementary school what this new process was for doing math. And my husband is a PhD mathematician, and he looked at it and went, what are they having us do? So it's always hard when something new gets rolled out from a parent perspective. I can understand how it would be overwhelming because the teachers are learning something new, you as parents are learning something new. What I hope is that this program does what it's supposed to do. It's flexible to be able to support all students at all levels. No matter where they are. It incorporates reading, thinking, and writing. And what I hope is that, again, with the pulse surveys and the surveys that we have going out to parents, that we get good feedback like we just got from you on what's difficult as a parent in trying to implement this to your kids. Because we have to listen, we have to work, and we need to really make this program succeed. But without hearing back from parents, it would make it very difficult. So again, I'm hoping that parents will feel free to communicate with their teachers, with the administration, and with the school committee on how to make it better as we continue to roll this out.
Thank you very much. Before we move on to the next question, Jack Kelly just showed up. Do you have any comments you would like to make? Or?
Let them finish.
Okay, good enough. All right, next question. We'll start with Catherine on this. Parent climate survey went out to parents recently. Questions were very vague and there was no open response within each section. What was it measuring and how is it being used?
That's a loaded question. I'll try and answer that. Again, the climate survey, from my understanding, when it gets rolled out, is we're trying to get a pulse on what's going on with our parents and with our students. And we're hoping to get that feedback. I know, again, I personally didn't take the survey, but we do get presented the end results from it. I think we get important information in terms on how our students are feeling, in terms of, their teachers or how their teachers are treating them, how they feel like they're getting along in the classroom, and from the perspective from parents, what they feel that we can improve on. As far as open-ended questions, that's certainly something we can look into. I don't know why those are not included in these surveys, but possibly we can do that. But again, parents can come to our school committee meetings anytime and let us know how they're feeling about what's going on in the classroom or what's going on with, I may not want to bring up their own particular student, but where they think maybe we can improve things. So again, the climate survey to me is a way for us to get a pulse on what's going on in the schools and find ways that we can improve.
Would you like the question again? Sure. Okay. The parent climate survey went out to parents recently. Questions were very vague and there was no open response within each section. What was it measuring and how is it being used?
Well, I can say I wasn't in on school committee to say how it's being used. I should probably know that as a parent if that's available. But I did actually answer the climate survey. Actually, I think I answered it twice accidentally because as an anonymous survey, it doesn't, you get repeated invitations to answer it. So that was one, as someone who deals in digital tools, that was one thing I was like, wait, we need to be able to track this a little bit better, but still have the anonymous answers available if possible. But I think the questions were very open-ended. I think this is something that I've dealt with at Perkins as well, as sometimes the hard questions are ignored. So I would push us to really look at why are we asking the questions that are on there, and are there areas where we're not asking specific things because we're not really sure we want to hear the answers, quite honestly. And like I said, that's especially I'll say both, but in my experience, I have a lot of special education because it's hard work. It's hard to get through things. It's hard to be collaborative sometimes, and to be willing to have the give and take here and there of getting to a solution. And there's not always a perfect solution. And I think we have to push ourselves to do the best we can, and that's how we truly become an excellent school system. The other thing, just in inviting parents to the school committee, or that anyone can come to the school committee meetings a lot, and they've been virtual, which has been really nice, or hybrid as well. But I think that's something that I really want to do if I was elected as school committee member, is to mobilize parents, get more engagement, and what are we hearing from parents? What are they going through with the school systems or their students, homework, things like that, just as a few examples, but it definitely goes both ways. I think the school is asking questions, let's look at those questions, but how else can we get more involvement into the bigger topics, and have families, and not just families, but community members, because really in the end, when we talk about schools and how the students, or how the schools impact our community, I just think it'd be great to get more involvement from more people in the town.
Thank you. Well, we've reached the end of our pile of questions. Are there any further questions? Yes. Sure, come up and use both, because one's for the TV and one's for here.
So,
Yeah, you can probably leave that on the table if you want.
Hi, my name is Larry Cohen, and I had a question. It was about, I heard there was something about a new algebra program at the middle school, and I really don't know much more about that, so I was wondering if you both could comment on that, please.
Okay, we'll start with, I think you left off with you.
Here you go. Nice.
Hi, thank you. I think Catherine will have more information on this for sure, but I am aware of the fact that some of the middle schoolers to high schoolers, there was some math. Do I need to stop? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, no, just.
Oh, thank you. I was like, I'm doing something. Just looking at the math and what wasn't quite there, where students were expected to be already. Again, I'll just go to more of the planning and longer term planning to look at that and the data.
Okay, Catherine.
Yeah. So there was a feeling that there was a disconnect between transitioning from the middle school to the high school. And there were students who we felt like we wanted them to be able to take a higher level of math in the middle school to better prepare them for moving into the high school. And so with that disconnect, we decided that, and the fact that we had students who needed to be challenged in the middle school, we needed to find out a way to transition that better. So we had a deep dive into the current math program. I'll just try to read or digest it, but once we did that deep dive, we've now come up with a solution so that students can, with their counselors and their parents and their teachers' input, they're evaluated on where they are today in terms of math. And they can either move into different groups up and down based on where they feel they are. You can change in the middle of the year if you feel that you need to be more challenged or less challenged. That's all, those decisions are made with the parents and with the teachers and with the administration. So by the time they're ready to move into high school, they're able to get into the correct math class to start off with high school so that they can, truly get the education that their parents want them to have, that the students feel like they have some sort of choice and better support in their learning for the math programs, and then they can go ahead and move ahead at the right level, whether they want to take an AP class or not. And this is really to help gear it so that each student can individually be looked at and assessed and move where they want to move with the support of parents, the input of the teachers, and a set way to look at things and evaluate it so there's a clear path on how you're moving forward.
Thank you very much. Any further questions? All right, I guess what we will do now is we'll move into the closing statements, and then we'll hear from Jack, and then if either of you want to make any final comments, we'll do that as well. So let's see, Catherine, you started. We'll start you again, so Hillary will get the second word, last word. So this is your closing statements?
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yes.
Sure.
You.
Oh.
Keep the same order, that way you get to go first, she gets to go
Oh,
last.
my goodness, okay. Well, again, it's a privilege to be able to be here today. And as I mentioned earlier, it's been a privilege to be a part of the school committee over the past 6 years. I really hope that I can, get one of your 2 votes on April 11th. There's a lot of hard work that we have to ahead of us. Again, the high school is one of those projects. We're working really hard on the statement of interest to be able to submit that to the state to hope that we can get some state funding. In the meantime, we're working on other options, maybe a phased option. We possibly will put together a subcommittee to look at a phased option and to look at a way that we're going to budget and finance for that. But right now our focus has to be on the statement of interest so we can get that submitted to the state. I'm excited to say that we have some new committee members on the high school building committee. I would love to see more people join because we really do need diverse opinions and would like people to give their input. The more people we have giving their input, I think the better the project's going to be, whatever that may be down the pike. Again, there's a lot of work ahead of us as far as the curriculum. We worked really hard on improving the reading program. We worked really hard on improving math. And I think our next project should be science. So again, we just need to continue to work on that. As far as communication, I agree that we all need to keep our minds open on a better way to communicate with the community, with parents. Again, I'm always encouraging people to come to our school committee meetings. I know it's hard for all of us as a parent. Again, when you're coaching and you're carting your children around, coming to a school committee is really difficult. So again, I think we're fortunate that we still have a virtual option to attend those meetings. If there's anything in particular that you have a concern about or have a question about, please, we are open to emails, phone calls, ways to communicate with us because we really do want to improve and hear feedback from students and people in the community. So again, I really appreciate being here. I ask for one of your 2 votes on April 11th, and if you have any questions for me, please reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Again, same. I appreciate you being here and inviting me as well. I know a lot of people don't know me as well because I haven't been as involved in the school committee. And now, I hope that you won't hold that against me because we love Burlington, and like I said, we want to continue to make our home here and be more vocal and part of the community. So with that, Burlington has strong schools. We got here because of the generations and all the people, the residents that supported them up to this point, and I just want to help continue that and make it as strong as we can. I'm running because I want to listen to residents, and you'll hear a lot of me talking about families and the people who may not always be the loudest, but still have important opinions and thoughts and ideas, and I want to help bring those people together and everyone to make Burlington schools the best that we can. And as the question hinted earlier, strong schools benefit the entire town. I know the high school project has been at the top of everybody's list lately. I helped with the Yes to BHS campaign because I want a better environment for my son and for all the kids here. I also think, though, that the town spoke up very, very loudly in saying that the cost and right now isn't the best time for everybody, and I certainly understand that. And I think, but we have to work together to find a better path, because the high school right now is kind of on its last leg in many areas. So I will work together with everyone to bring the best possible solution for the school and the families now and in the future. And but I think it's all of our involvement that will help us get there and get there sooner than later. I would say just the last piece is, again, we can talk about communication, but taking action to get there and working together and holding each other accountable into those pieces, I think is what's going to make Burlington schools great. And when I say we make Burlington schools great, we're just making one piece of Burlington better as well.
Thank you very much. Now, Jack, would you like to make a couple of comments?
Jack Kelly, my name is on the ballot, unopposed, except by the blanks. Nobody wants to get beaten by the blanks, so if you're one of those people that never votes for somebody who's unopposed, just vote for me. I don't want to get beaten by the blanks. The reason I'm unopposed is the long incumbent, Joe Pemba, after 35 years of service to the town, decided he wanted to take a break. 20 years with the planning board, 15 years with the selectmen. If he wants a break, he deserves a break. What will I bring to the planning board? Well, if you look out here, the gentleman who left the planning board after many years, Ernie Cadino, many years of service. Paul Raymond, many years of service. Bill Gaffney, many years of service. And now Joe Pemba. A lot of history, knowledge, and service to the planning board is gone. What can I bring? I served previously 17 years in the planning board, so I can bring some historical knowledge. What happened in the planning board since I first joined there in 1984? When I got there, we did not have a professional planning director. Within 2 years, we did. We had archaic zoning. There was no mixed use allowed. While I was on the planning board, Bernie was there too. We developed mixed use. If we had not made that change, something like Northwest Park down by Wegmans couldn't exist. That was brought in under the planned development district or planned unit development. That has proven very valuable. So, as old as I am not against change. One of the things that I have found over the years, and Ernie can back it up, people don't fully understand what the planning board does and does not do. People come to the planning board and yell at the planning board members, I don't want that zoning change. Planning board does not make zoning change. Town meeting does, and only town meeting does. You don't like something that's in the zoning bylaw, don't blame the planning board. All zoning bylaw changes are made by town meeting. So why does some of that stuff come before the planning board? Because they are required under the law and our rules to hold a public hearing so the applicant for a zoning or a proposal presents it to the public. So public can attend, abutters can attend, people can see online what it is. Town meeting members can either be present or see virtually or watch it later, so they'll have an idea of what it is they're going to vote on at town meeting. If that zoning is passed and there's a building proposal, They then come back to the planning board, and there's site plan and special permit, both of which have clear criteria in our zoning bylaw. The planning board doesn't get to say, no, we don't want you just because we don't like you. They have to check the criteria of the site plan preference in the planning board and the special permit preference to see if they meet the criteria in the bylaw as determined by town meeting. That's the big part. The subdivision control, breaking the lot up into big lots up to house lots, doesn't really apply anymore. There's not many big pieces of land to be divided, so that part, which has a lot of state law applied to the local zoning, you really don't see that much anymore. But I think I've covered as much as I can in the time Alan will allow me. If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer any.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you. Either of you like to make a final comment? You're good? All set? All right, well, that brings us to the end of the program. Thank you all for, did you ever come? Oh. Thank you all for coming out, and especially to the candidates for not only coming to speak to you, but offering their time to the town. Thank you to the Council on Aging and Marge Yetman for hosting us today. Thanks to Robert and BCAT for covering. Finally, make sure you get out and vote. Regular election day is Saturday, April 11th. The polls are open at the high school from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Early voting starts at the town hall beginning on March 30th and extends to April 8th during regular business hours. It closes at 7 p.m. on the 8th. I got that right? Good. Okay, again, thank you everyone for coming out and for participating.
I'm Aaron Reeves, and I'm running for school committee. It's so great to be with you this morning. Like I just mentioned, I've been a resident of Burlington since 2020. It's a great year to move here, right? With all that's going on. We love living in Burlington. My wife and I have 6 kids from ages 13 down to 1 years old. And a unique thing about our family and even my decision to run is we actually homeschool our kids. That's one of the first questions that I get asked in our campaign is, are your kids in the public school system? And yeah, the answer to that is we homeschool. My wife grew up as a homeschooler. She was taught by her mother, and she has 6 sisters. They were all homeschooled. They've all gone off into the world and are doing great things, and she's always dreamed of homeschooling. And so we chose that path when my oldest were getting to that age of schooling, and we've stuck with that up until now and plan to keep doing that. And the reason I'm running for school committee is because I really care about the next generation. I've spent almost 20 years working with young people across New England and the nation with a Christian ministry based out of Somerville. And we develop young people and teach them. I've taught music, I've taught theater and arts, primarily those in kind of the performing arts avenues where my background is. And I currently own a business based out of Burlington in the audio and tech industry. And one of the things that kind of turned me on to running for school committee is I've witnessed and talked to a lot of parents here in town that are looking for kind of a fresh perspective and another kind of voice on the school committee that more represents their value systems and someone who will ask hard questions about what's being taught in our curriculums and stand up for kind of a more fair approach to what's being taught in these curriculums. And I think we have a lot of challenges right now in our school system when it comes to the high school project and fiscal responsibility, and these are issues that I think I can bring solutions to and am eager to help dive in and throw myself into learning how we can solve these problems together. We plan on living in Burlington as long as we possibly can. We love this town. Our kids love it. It is a beautiful place to live. I lived in Malden for about 8 years. Before I moved here, Burlington is so much better than Malden. It is absolutely awesome. We love the Parks Department. We love getting out and around town. I think my son and his neighborhood friends have walked all over Burlington. That's like their favorite thing to do. I just kind of kick them out of the house, and it's a safe town. It's a safe town to live in. It's great. I'm glad that we live here, and I hope that I can earn your vote and answer any questions that you might have about me. So thank you for giving me this time this morning.
Thank you, Aaron. So hi, excuse me, I'm Jeremy Brooks. I currently serve on the school committee. I've been serving for the last 3 years. Over that last 3 years, I feel like I've put together a fairly robust body of work, helping move along policy discussions, move along fiscal planning priorities, and then again, helping implement curriculum for math and reading, along with other challenges in the school. I know a lot of folks have questions about the high school. I do have several plans on how I think we should attack that moving forward, because I think we've heard the voters and residents very clearly what their preference was, and I think it is time to go back to the drawing board, take the information we have, bring back 3 really workable, robust plans that fit within the town constraints of fiscal needs, and then also meets the needs of students, in that timeline as well. I am a lifelong Burlington resident. I moved here when I was 4 years old, took a 25-year gap to go to the Air Force, retired, and came right on back here. So been around the world, seen a lot of things, but Burlington drew me back after that term of service. So thank you, and I look forward to all your questions.
Thanks, Martha. Okay. Hold on one second, Sandy. Actually, Sandy, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, mine is not about the high school. I was wondering if either of you have any plans or have thought about putting the history of Burlington back into the curriculum at the elementary school. It's been taken out. And we of the Historical Commission and society feel that it's important for kids to learn this.
So Sandy, was it?
You probably don't know anything about
Yeah.
it.
No, I don't, but actually, so what I can say and what I would be comfortable saying is with the new CKLA curriculum, there are history modules weaved throughout that. So I think there is actually probably time and space in there somewhere when they do history for, the Revolution, things like that. You could weave in.
Revolutionary War, but not in Burlington in particular.
Correct,
And
that's-
They used to have a unit there, a small unit with Burlington history in particular.
Yeah, so I think there is probably a time or space that could be weaved in where, more town-focused history could be put in, because the curriculum isn't so rigid that they couldn't do that. So in those history modules, they could probably supplement that, and it's something we could definitely take a look at if you want to get my emails after, and then we can.
Teaches that there is no room.
There is no room. Okay, well, I can certainly dig into that question. That's an easy one.
Okay, next question. What is your opinion about the social, emotional curriculum and services in the Burlington Public Schools?
Okay, yeah, I'll start with this one. Thank you. SEL, I think it has a lot of good intention. My personal opinion on it is I think it's okay as long as it doesn't kind of stray into the lane of taking the place of teaching values to children that maybe oppose the values that they're learning at home, which I think across the country and in curriculums we've seen that can happen. And so I think the school committee's role in that is to, give oversight and making sure parents know what is going to be taught through the SEL programs, that we are transparent with our communication about what's going into that. And if there are things that are brought up that, like a survey or, things that kids can opt out of in the classroom with SEL, that we give, all opportunities to do that. That's my personal opinion on it. Thank you.
So yeah, SEL curriculum definitely has a time and a place for it in the schools. understanding whether children are showing up ready to learn and going to be ready to accept the lessons, I think is a great part of SEL. I think in some ways we've grown the scope a little bit too much, and I really worry about time on learning and how it's impacting that. So as we do additional surveys or we do additional modules, I worry how that's going to conflict with, the major subjects of reading, writing, math, science. So my stance is I believe in the SEL program. I believe we have to monitor the scope of the SEL program to keep it so that it doesn't impact time on learning for, the core curriculum and the core subjects.
Can I ask a follow-up question on that? I'm wondering, Aaron, you mentioned that you thought it was about values, and I know a lot of it's about kindness and about not bullying and accepting your friends and making everyone feel welcome, so I'm not sure how that's a problem. Can you explain?
Yeah. I'm not saying that those are things that are a problem. I think there can be times when there are emphasis put on certain groups over other groups that parents might disagree with, and I just want to make sure that that doesn't happen. And I would also echo what Jeremy has also answered in that there seems to be a push that this is the most important thing that's happening in the classroom. But the reality is it can take away time from learning in math, science, English, and we want to make sure that the focus is on the academics, not just on SEL. And so there could be greater partnerships with parents in that.
Can you talk about your kids' experience so far with the new literacy curriculum?
Yeah, sure can. So my 4th grade daughter doesn't love it because of the change. So there's definitely some growing pains with the program. She definitely liked the previous reading structure before. From a content perspective, I don't believe there's a gap. It's just the implementation. And again, rolling out a new program, anytime you're going to have friction points. And the good news is I have a source of truth sitting in my living room every day when I come home. So I think it's definitely still a work in progress. I believe it's going to yield the results we hoped it will. And again, I think it's smoothing out some of the edges for making that curriculum really something that's represents Burlington.
I'm not sure I can answer that because I homeschool my kids, so they have a little bit of a different curriculum. Yeah, so I'm just going to let that one pass.
Anybody have any more questions?
Go ahead, follow up on that. So if you don't know anything about it, do you know anything about the curriculum, and how would you educate yourself about what is actually being taught in the schools, not what you hear from
Absolutely.
the individual people?
Yeah, so as you can imagine, I've been doing a ton of research, since I've announced or even before announcing my campaign for this position. And there's a lot that I'm learning. And that is what I promised to do. I'm continually doing this, looking into what is being taught. It is an incredible amount of information to take in, but I'm throwing myself into it. Like it is absolutely consuming my life, and sometimes I'm losing a little bit of sleep over it. But I do care very much about it. And again, I've been very, I think, straightforward with this. I'm a complete newcomer, not a politician. I've never done anything like this. And to even add to that, if I can answer a question that might help give a little bit more background of where I'm coming from, because some people have asked, like, why haven't you been engaged up until right now? And you might be wondering that. In my previous career, which ended in the end of 2024, I traveled the nation for about 6 months out of the year, which, if you guys have ever traveled, it's very hard to ground yourself in a community when you're traveling, 2 months at a time, and then another month, and then another month. And so when we were jumping around like that, it's very difficult to get engaged at a local level, outside of, either going to church or, participating in the parks department and different things like that throughout the summer. And when my career changed, we were like, oh, okay, now we can finally get more engaged with what's going on locally, and really start committing to things. And so, this is kind of a crazy thing to first jump into and commit to, but that kind of fits kind of who I am, my personality. I'm like, okay, look, where are some of the issues in our community that I feel like I might be able to solve and help, and I'm going to throw myself into it and learn. So I might not have as much background as our other candidates, and I appreciate everything that Jeremy has done for our school committee and Catherine, because they've been in it for a few years, absolutely. But I think I can bring a fresh perspective that's different and new and help solve some of these problems that we have. So thank you. That was a great question.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
That's great.